Hey guys, welcome back to Infidelity Stories. Make sure like and subscribe to the channel for more spicy stories. Now, let's get into story video.
Finally got the hard evidence to prove my ex-wife cheated. Not sure how I feel. I know this is a long read. For those who take the time to read and respond, truly, thank you. So, my 38 male, ex-wife, 35 female, and I got divorced in 2019. The whole thing was so far out of the blue and unsuspected that I couldn't accept the story she was trying to feed me. So, story goes like this. We were, I thought happily, married for 6 years at the time. We had gone to visit an out-of-state friend to celebrate my b-day and his, as they are only 7 days apart. Up until the second day of the trip, things were perfectly normal. Then it was like a switch immediately got flipped. She got very cold and distant, which was highly unlike her. I continually asked what's wrong to only get the nothing's wrong. So as to not continue harping on it and try to enjoy the little bit of time I have to see my friend, I dropped it. We get back home on a Sunday night and now the coldness and distance feels 10x worse. So I continually push her to talk. She just claims to be tired. So I figure I'd wait for Monday evening when it's earlier. She got home after me and still colder than liquid nitrogen and may as well have been on the moon. I continued to ask and she just said she's tired and had a rough day. So I told her I wouldn't bother her about it again and would leave her be until the weekend came. So Friday night comes around and she gives me a letter that in short says she loves me but is not in love with me and wants a divorce. We talked for a few hours, laughed a little, cried a little, but honestly I was in so much disbelief, shock, and confusion to really feel anything in those moments. So we separated, but still lived in the same house and had a mostly amicable relationship. Months prior to the separation, we accepted an invite to go on a cruise with my family. She already had the time off approved with her job and her ticket was already paid for and non-refundable. She was immediately uninvited. When I told her this, she wasn't upset as she pretty much already knew, but she then asked if I had plans to go anywhere the week after the cruise, as she was going to be meeting and staying with a guy she met online, for a week. Now, this is only a few weeks after the separation and I asked her if she had met them prior to the separation, to which she lied and said she would never cheat on me and that they just clicked immediately. Being disgusted at what I was hearing, I just shrugged it off so as not to lose my SHT, even though that's exactly what was happening inside. So, multiple opportunities were given to be honest and she held firm that they didn't meet until after we were separated. Our divorce was finalized in November 2019, and she moved to Germany in March 2020 right before lockdowns got crazy, to be with him. I kept the house but we agreed that if I sold it we would split it equally. So, fast forward through all the depression and anger and emptiness up until around January 2022, I finally made the decision to sell the house and move closer to family. The home was in a very desirable area and got way above asking price and was sold fairly quickly, and I moved in May of 2022. Being that I had enough money to not rush into a SHT job, I decided to take some time for myself to actually get myself back together emotionally and physically. So here we are, January 2023, and a few days ago, I saw a post in the subreddit for the city we used to live in. The post read along the lines of, me and my husband are moving to the area and wanted to know if anyone knows of any good rentals. It was too much of a coincidence to not at least check out the profile, and sure as SHT, it was her. I went back through her posts and comment history, and while I didn't find any of their conversations, I did find others in which she talked about her BF living in Germany and she can't wait to see him, etc. After cross-referencing the dates on the posts, I was able to confirm they had been talking long before we separated. So, I took some screenshots and sent them to her with a civil message, basically just saying she could have told me the truth from the beginning and it would have been easier to handle rather than 2 years of wondering and all the SHT thoughts that accompany the wondering. I saw she's read the messages but definitely no response, as was expected, lol. So, I've felt pretty amazing the past few days, having finally been able to prove my suspicions, inarguably, and feel like I can finally move on, even though I honestly thought I had a while ago, lol. So I try not to think about it, but intrusive thoughts are just that. I just can't seem to not think about it unless I am 1000% preoccupied. I also have ADHD, so hyperfocus and some mild RSD definitely plays a role. So how do I reseal the wounds and just get to a point where it doesn't hurt and I can pick back up into my healing journey, albeit in a totally different place? I just started a new job that I'm truly enjoying all aspects of, continuing to work on my physical health, and outside of the sporadic twinges of pain from the re-injured wound, I'm overall in a good place. Okay, maybe an alright place, but I wouldn't say I'm in a bad place, just want to avoid getting there again. Story 2. I got revenge on my ex-girlfriend for cheating on me. This happened years ago when I was around 18 and dating a girl I had gone to high school with. We had been together for about a year, and towards the last month of our relationship things started to die out. We wouldn't talk as much and she never had time for me. She claimed she was always working at her family's grocery store. Her family had their own business for years. It was a small grocery store that at one point while I was in between jobs I even worked at for a short time. Her family were lovely and me and her father got along great and still chat every now and then because I was always working or studying, didn't party and had set goals for myself early in life which her father thought was awesome. So anyway, back to our relationship. Because we both worked we only had the weekends free, so usually we would do our best to spend time with each other, but she had grown distant and I hadn't thought anything of it. But one weekend I receive a call from a friend of mine who tells me she had seen my girlfriend out with another guy. I didn't want to believe it, I was devastated. But I thought before I throw any accusations I would get my own proof first. It took me almost 3 weeks to convince her to spend time with me. When she agreed and came over for a night after work, I had planned on confronting her to find out for myself. She arrived shortly after dark and told me she was going to have a shower. She went into the bathroom but had left her phone with her bag and keys on the table. So I did what anyone who has been told they were being cheated on would do, I went through to see for myself. And what do you know, she was cheating on me with her ex-boyfriend who was a dirtbag. You see, he was one of the kids at school that messed around, never came to school. Was out smoking and drinking instead. I never really interacted with him outside of being asked for a lighter for a cigarette. But he was also selling drugs at school. I've always thought people who sell drugs to kids are dirtbags. Not cool at all, bro. I found out she had been going to see him on the weekends to do drugs and drink as well as sleeping with him. There were messages talking about how I was too nice or focused on work too much. How she's only with me because her family loves me and I can handle that if you tell me that, not cheat on me because of it. I would rather leave a relationship freely. This hit me really hard and messed with my perception of women afterwards. I had never been cheated on before and didn't know how to handle the feeling, but I wasn't going to let her do me like that. Here comes the sweet revenge. You see, in those messages they had been talking about needing money for alcohol or drugs and not having enough. This conversation led to him convincing her to steal it from her family business. She had been getting away with almost $800 or so every weekend, as well as stealing items from their shop. So I thought fast, screenshot all the messages, and sent them to her father from her phone. I told him it was me, and that this is what I had found in his daughter's phone. Shortly after she had finished up in the shower, I told her we were finished and I knew everything. I told her to leave and I had a surprise for her when she got home, to which she was confused about. She left after that and I received a call from her dad, who was apologized to me for his daughter's actions and sounded almost as devastated as I was. He told me he had already called the police and they were waiting for her to get back home, as well as collecting her ex-boyfriend as an accomplice. I was shocked but thankful that I had cut dead weight from my life in a just fashion, considering she cheated on me. She got to spend the night in a cell with her ex and was ordered to pay back the amount by a judge and given community service. He on the other had happened to have previous warrants out and I don't know what happened to him after. I wiped my hands clean of her and moved forward. But man, that felt so much better that she at least got some punishment as a result.